Hey everybody, it's Allison. I'm doing my second live stream. I This probably won't be the time that I do it every week, but I'm not sure. But anyway, you can watch them later. Um, we're going to do a live class. It'll probably be about 45 minutes, and we're going to do some calf stuff today. Probably a little bit of upper body, a lot of hamstring stuff, and I don't know. I don't know what you all need to stretch, but this is going to be a kind of a quasi like yoga and resistance stretching class. So we're going to do a little bit of both. And my biggest concern now is that my microphone's on, but I never know if it's really on until I rewatch the videos. This is all a new thing for me, so hopefully you can hear me. Anyway, today's class, as usual, we have 3 rules. Don't do it if it hurts. Um, work within your range of motion. And if we're doing a resistance stretch, we will be moving and resisting, and I will let you know when that is going on. Anyway, yeah, we're going to get started on your mat. Today you're probably going to need a chair and a rolled up towel or a mat, a rolled up blanket will do. You'll need a blanket for your knees and maybe some yoga blocks, but we'll work with the chair if you don't have any blocks. For next time, next weekend, I'm going to be uploading. I won't be doing a live class next weekend, but I will be uploading a couple of videos for IT band syndrome, and we're going to need a foam roller for that one. Anyway, we're going to get started. We're going to come to the mat. I may have to move my camera back just a bit, tilted down a little bit. Actually, hold on. Sorry, folks. We're going to put this right there. Yeah. All right. That's a little better. All right. So we're going to come to the mat. And I'm going to sit on a blanket. You don't necessarily need one. And I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together and open my knees. So we're going to start out with the groin stretch, which is a butterfly. So normally we would just, like in regular stretching class, you'd just be sitting and drawing your knees in and opening here and then leaning forward. But for resistance stretching, we're going to add movement and resistance. So wherever your feet are, they can be close to you or far away. If you want more, put a block between your feet. And I'm going to bring my knees together, slide my arms in here, and my palms up. So we want external rotation. I'm going to push my arms out as my knees are pulling in. So I'm going to kind of pry my knees open with my arms. And then I'm going to pull my knees together as my arms are still pushing out. I'm just going to let my knees win. And that is the motion. So out and in. We want to warm up our groin muscles. And the really nice thing about this stretch is if you're externally rotated, so if your arms are turned, if your palms are up, you're going to get a really nice trap stretch and rhomboid stretch as you move in and out of this. So as your knees close, relax your shoulders and stretch those traps and rhomboids. We want to work maybe 10, 12 reps. I haven't been counting. Usually I just kind of do it until my groin is a little tired. So this stretch, the groin stretch, partners with the lateral hamstring stretch, which I think we'll get to at some point in this class. But I just wanted to mention it. All right. Now, turn your left leg around so that the knee is forward and the foot is behind you. And then we're going to take the right foot and just bump it up right next to this knee. I'm going to put my right hand behind me and I'm going to lift my hips Push my hips forward, pull the tailbone under, and reach up and over with this left hand into a stretch, and then release. So we're just gently stretching, and we're trying to get into the front, the thigh, and the hip flexor. And you can inhale as you rise and exhale as you lower. We're going to do a couple more. And then I'm going to walk my hands around behind me into a twist and kind of imagine your ribs being pulled back and away from your legs. So imagine your legs being really heavy, like they're stuck in concrete or something. You're going to turn around and pull the ribs away. If you're really flexible, you could put your elbows down, but I'm not going to have you go there if you don't want to. And release, and then switch legs. So turn your right leg around, and left leg is open. So we're going to take the left arm behind you, lift the hips, pull the tailbone under, and kind of side bend. Inhale and release. So as you lift, you want to pull the belly in, the tailbone under. And then walk the hands around and pull the ribs away. And walk it back to center. All right. We're going to turn around so that your blanket's on your mat. You can put your left knee on it, bring your right foot forward. Here's where, if you need your chair, put it ahead of you. You're going to scissor the inner thighs together. So imagine your back leg pulling into your chest and your front heel pulling back towards you. So we've got that scissor motion going. What I like to imagine is my lower leg pulling into a fetal position this entire time. We want to pull the belly in to the opposite of sticking your butt out, shift forward and back for the hip flexor stretch. We're going to start here. We might move a little bit deeper into this stretch today, as we did last week. Couple more. And then, just like we did last week, I'm going to turn my foot in a little bit. And I'm going to turn my upper body and my hips around to the front. I'm going to scissor my inner thighs together as I lean and reach. I like to start with this hip flexor in the groin because oftentimes when we get into the hamstring stretches, those muscles will tend to feel a little bit jammed up. So we're kind of warming them up, liberating them so that they don't jam up when we're stretching our hamstrings. And then after one more, so I guess we did about 10 of the hip flexor stretch and about 5 of these, I'm going to turn, grab my blocks, put them on the mat, and shift my weight forward and open. So I'm opening this knee out to the side. You can't really see it very well. But I'm opening this knee out to the side. I'm just going to kind of move around a little bit, getting into that to the psoas, the hip flexor, and just let it relax. I'm kind of moving from side to side, but you can do whatever you want. I know some of you are more flexible. You might want to reach back and grab your foot, but we haven't warmed up our quads yet, so kind of want to save that. But if you want to do it, you can. And then I'm going to switch legs. So I'm going to turn around so I can be facing you as I do this. And my left leg is going to be forward. So I'm going to come up, scissor my inner thighs together. I'm pulling my knee toward my chest, like I'm going to come into a fetal position. Or you can imagine, if you can imagine like your legs scissoring together to the point where you're going to get up and run. Now, don't do this at home, but like I want to be so engaged that I could like get up and kick. It's kind of the motion that we want to imagine here. So I'm pulling my inner thighs together, belly in to the opposite of sticking your butt out. At this point, you should already start to feel a stretch here, probably most of you. And then we're going to move forward and back. And this might be as much range of motion as you have, and that is perfectly fine. If we get to the point where we're leaning forward and the butt's sticking out, you're going to lose a lot of that stretch. So try to maintain just some of that resistance going forward and back. And then we're going to move into that deeper psoas stretch or iliopsoas stretch. So I'm turning my back foot in a little bit. I'm scissoring my inner thighs together, belly in. I'm turning my hips around. This left knee needs to open. So think about it open because it's going to want to wander in for most of us. So inner thighs pulling together and we're going to be leaning, shifting toward the left leg and then bringing the right arm up and over. So we want to do a lot of tailbone tucking here and a lot of turning. But as you turn, make sure that this knee stays open as much as you can. And then we're going to turn, take the blocks or the chair or whatever you've got. You can use the floor with your hands. I'm going to use the floor now. Shifting forward, and then we want to get these hips forward into this passive hip flexor stretch. I find following up the resistance stretching with the passive stretch really feels good to me. Because we've asked those muscles to work, which for the psoas is great because usually the psoas is kind of weak and short. And again, feel free to move around here. And then rise back again. We're going to sit back on our mat. I'm going to move this blanket out of the way. And we're going to do a couple of hip mobility stretches. So I'm going to take my legs out to the front and I'm going to cross my left ankle over my right knee. I'm going to let my right knee fall out to the side. I'm going to push this left knee down toward the right ankle. Did I say right ankle? The right ankle is moving out to the side. Left ankle is pushing down. Just kind of move in and out of this for a moment. This is TFL stretch. You could just stay here and push. This is a great way to work into your double pigeon if you're a yogi and you have trouble getting here. I always tell the story that I went to yin classes. This is one of the yin poses that they do in yoga. I went to these classes for years and I was always like way up here. But I started doing it this way and all of a sudden that muscle opened up and I was able to get fully into my fire log pose. And then we're going to switch sides. So now our right ankle crosses over left knee and open to the side. I'm already getting a stretch on this side. And then try to push the knee down. So mm, opening and pushing down. Whew, that's a good stretch. And you'll notice one side's probably different than the other, and that is fine. Just take note. You could stay here and just kind of push it down. Now I realize some of you might be up here and just this is it. That's it. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, we're going to go on to TFL stretch number 2 because we're going to be doing a different stretch for the inner thighs today. And I just want to make sure that our TFL is nice and warmed up and out of the way. So this one's called, I did this one last week, I think, called I'm gonna open up my blanket a little bit. Seated rodeo. So I'm gonna come to my hands and my knees. I'm gonna cross my left ankle over, or my left knee over my right. So the knees are stacked right up, and I'm gonna open my feet out to the side and walk my hands up. So I'm gonna pull my inner thighs together as I rise, pull the belly in, tailbone under as much as you can, and then lift and lower. So you should feel it on the back leg on the side. Some people don't feel anything in this stretch. That's okay. You can just ignore me. I like to kind of kick this hip out to the side as I lift and lower because it gets a little bit deeper into that TFL. This is one of my favorite stretches. But I know that some people just don't get anything out of it. If you're one of those, I apologize. All right. And that's not quite 10, but we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to take my front knee and move around to the back. I may need to bring my back knee forward a bit. So I'm stacking my right knee over my left and then opening the legs behind me. I'm going to squeeze my inner thighs together as I rise and lower. Again, if you want to just kind of kick that hip out a little bit, you're going to get a little bit deeper into your TFL. Whew, that's a good stretch. All right, then we're going to go to a different version of the adductor stretch. So we've already done groin, we've done hip flexor, we've done a little bit of abductors, and now we're going to do adductors. So I've got my leg out to the side. I'm going to push my foot into the mat, and I'm going to take my hands behind my head. So there are two options, lots of options for the hands, but for today, I'm just going to take my hands behind my head. I'm going to push this foot into the mat and lean over to the left and rise. You could add a lat stretch to this, and I'll show you how to do it after we get about halfway through. So for the lat stretch, I'm going to push my right elbow out to the side. That's the motion. I'm going to kind of just take my hand behind my head and then hook my left hand on my right elbow. So there's tension between the two. My elbow is kicking out. If I were to let go of my hand, my elbow would go like that. So we're going to hold that steady as we press the left foot into the mat and side bend. So lat, QL, inner thigh, we're getting a lot out of this one. If you're getting a cramp here, then you're going to have to go back to the stretches we just did. That's just how it works. That's why we did those stretches first, because sometimes if I go straight into this one, I will get my TFL will just start cramping up. And then switch sides. So now the right foot's out to the side. I'm going to press into the mat with my right foot, take my hands behind my head, side bend. And then we'll add that lat stretch. So I'm going to take my arm behind my head, elbows kicking out the whole time. I'm going to hook my right hand. So if I were to let go of my right hand, my elbow would go out. So that itself is a lat stretch, but we're going to add the inner thigh. So press the right foot into the mat as you side bend. Try to pull the belly in. If the butt sticks out a lot, you're going to lose a lot of the QL sideways stretch. Whew. All right. Great job. All right. Next, we're going to move into the lateral hamstring because we've already opened everything up here. So there shouldn't be really any restrictions. My only concern now is that my head's going to get cut off, but we'll see. So rise up. There we go. My head's here. We did this one last week. This is the tipping bird. So I'm going to stand and turn, stand on the leg that's closest to the wall is going to be the one that stays down. The leg that's out is going to go behind. So imagine your body just in one straight line. As you lean forward, your back leg is going to kick up. Hang onto the wall if you need it, and then reach down with your left hand until you feel stretch. And I'm already feeling stretch here, and then rise back up. We want to make sure that the hip isn't lifting because it's going to be all medial hamstring. So we want to turn the hips. Imagine the back leg rotating inward. We want to keep the hips as level as you can. So back leg extends, front body comes down, reach toward the mat. And we're going to work in and out of this for about 10 reps. You could even turn your chest toward the wall if you wanted to. And I always feel like after about 3, I start feeling like I'm starting to open up a little bit. For those of you exercise people, weight training people, this is like single leg deadlift. We're just taking it a little bit farther. And I can tell my lateral hamstring is on fire and my glute too. Um, we are trying to warm up these muscles because we're going to come into a deeper lateral hamstring stretch in just a moment. So I'm going to turn around. Now my foot that's closest to the wall is going to be the one that's staying there. My right foot is behind me. I remember to toe in, straight line from head to toe. And then I'm leaning forward. I'm going to reach down with my right hand, the hand that's farthest away from the wall, until I feel a stretch and come right back up again. I am super tight here today. I'm not even getting close to the floor. Maybe that'll change after this class, but we'll see. So as you reach down, make sure that your leg is coming with you. A lot of times in class, I get this, and that's not what we're trying to do. Because as you lift the leg up, you're going to get deeper into that hamstring. I may be doing more on this side than the other, but I'm trying to keep them even. I'm not a big counter. I kind of go by like, how does my muscle feel? Do I need to do more? Do I feel like I could do more? All right. And then we're going to come down to the mat, and I'm going to lean against the wall. You can do this in a chair as well. I'm just going to fold. Well, actually, let's start on the other leg. No, this way. So I'm going to fold my right ankle underneath me, and I'm taking my right hand across, reaching for the outside of my foot. I'm going to kick my heel down toward the outer hip, and then I'm going to pull it across like that. I'm pulling my foot away from my hip. So the motion is to kick down, the arm's pulling it across. So we're kind of prying the leg open into this stretch. And then we're switch sides. So the heel is kicking toward the outer hip. I'm crossing my left hand over my right foot, kicking down, and then I'm going to drag the foot across. I have seen this stretch done like this. You could do it that way. I don't like the way it makes my knee feel as I bend and straighten. So I kind of like to keep my leg in a straight line, but you could do it either way. Great job. All right. Next, we're going to take this, we're going to get back up on our blanket. You could use blocks. You could use a chair. I don't care what you use. You don't need to use anything. You could just use your hands on the floor. So I'm going to bring my right leg forward into a runner stretch, and I'm going to dig this heel into the mat like it's pulling toward me the whole time, like a hamstring curl. So I'm going to pull it back towards me. My whole body's going to shift forward. I'm going to keep pulling it toward me and back it up into this central hamstring stretch. So moving forward and back. We're going to do about 10 on each leg. So I'm going to switch legs. This time my left heel is going to pull toward me, pulling, and then back it up. I'm still pulling the heel toward me. You could stretch your chest forward. So we're just warming this muscle up and stretching it. It's about as quiet as I've ever been during a video. And then we're going to pop up into a downward dog. So you could use your blocks if you've got wrist issues. You could just put your hands on the blocks. You could use a chair, which I'm going to be demonstrating here in a minute anyway, because our next stretch is going to be a calf stretch with the chair, calf hamstring stretch. So I'm going to tuck my toes under and lift my hips and slowly lower my heels. Just pedal your heels into the mat. If you are using a chair, it is going to look like this. You could, if you're not getting anything from that, put a rolled up mat underneath your toes, underneath the balls of your feet, and go from there. We're going to be doing this anyway. So rolled up towel, rolled up mat, whatever you need. If you're just in your downward dog, we're going to lift and pedal the heels, and we're going to lift both heels, shift forward, and then shift back, lower the heels, and press the chest back toward the thighs. I think I did this last week in a video, and I was doing it with the chair, so that is an option. Your hands could also be on the mat. If you want to get deeper into the stretch, you're going to slowly lower the heels, press the chest back toward the thighs, lift the tailbone, lift the toes. And I'm hoping that will get you a deeper stretch. And then we're going to hold here, bring the feet together, lift one leg behind you. I don't care which one it is. And lift and lower just one heel. Play around with this one. Angle the knee in. See what that gets you. Angle the knee open. See what that gets you. Because we've got three different lines actually here that we're working. The inner calf, outer calf, and soleus, which is central. And then switch legs. This is a stretch for me that I do pretty much probably like 3 or 4 times a week because I have such tight calves. And a lot of people think they have tight hamstrings, but that tightness is actually coming from their calves. So play around with the angling in, angling open. See which one is tighter or just straight down. The higher you lift your leg in the back, the more stretch you're going to get. And now that our calves are nice and warmed up, I'm going to have you just stand up. Bring your chair toward you. If you don't have a chair, go get one. And we're going to bring it here. Now I am going to take this rolled up blanket or mat. I'll just use a blanket since some of you might not have um, a mat or you're on your mat. And I'm going to put it right next to this chair. I'm going to put the ball of my right foot on this blanket. And I'm going to back the left foot. My feet are hip width distance apart, but I'm just going to back it up a few feet. And I'm going to pull my left hip forward and pull my right hip back. I'm going to square my hips, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to press into this front blanket or mat with the ball of my foot as I do that. And then I'm going to bring my chest forward. And just kind of hang out here. I don't have a timer, but sometimes I'll time myself on this one. And notice where you're feeling this stretch. Are you feeling it in your hamstring? Are you feeling it behind the knee? Usually if it's behind the knee, that's calf. If you are feeling it behind the knee and you want to go a little deeper into that calf, just kind of lift this back heel up. Maybe you want to get deeper into that calf. Well, you can if you have a yoga block, or you could use a book falling over. But put that block right there and angle it up. The heel of my foot is on the mat. My ball of the foot is on the block. I'm squaring my hips off. I'm going to come forward and tip. And you can lift and lower with this one if you want. Otherwise, just work on the whole line. If you're into yoga, this is pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. There are ways that you can increase it. Just stretch the chest forward. The right hip pulls back, left hip pulls forward. Press into the ball of the foot to activate that hamstring and calf. Ideally, like a minute or 2 or 3 even, if you're really trying to create length in that hamstring. And then we're going to rise and switch sides. So the left foot, ball of the foot is on the blanket or mat. I've got my right foot behind me of 2 or 3 feet. I'm going to square my hips. So now my right hip is pulling forward, left hip pulling back. And I'm pressing with the ball of my foot into that blanket or mat. And I'm going to come down. And try to see, I can see in the video that I've got some curve here. So I'm going to try to pull my belly toward my thigh a little bit and pull my chest forward to deepen this stretch. Again, always pulling the left hip away, right hip forward. This also gets into the lateral hamstring. That's more passive stretch. It's nice to do after you've worked that lateral hamstring stretch, the tipping bird. Nice to do after you've done your central hamstring stretch. And again, if you want that more of that calf stretch, just lift up. Or if you're really, really wanting a deeper stretch, take this block. I have an entire couple of videos on just this stretch and some other calf stretches. And I think I have a playlist for calf stretching. So again, if you want more calf stretch, then take that block and put it underneath the ball of your foot. Ball of foot is pressing into the block and the heel is resting. Whew, that's a deep stretch, for me at least. And again, once I start working into the stretch, I'm trying to go deeper, I realize that my hips are starting to turn, my butt's starting to stick out towards you. I'm going to pull this left hip away, pull the right hip forward. Whoo! Quite a stretch. You can also play around with lifting this left hip up, lowering it, you know, play around with your hips here because that's going to change the stretch entirely. We want to be right on that edge of like trying, but not trying so hard that you start shaking and your breath starts getting agitated. All right, we're going to come out of this, move the chair away, and we're going to do another abductor stretch. So I'm going to hang onto the wall, cross my left ankle over my right thigh. I'm pressing the ankle into the thigh. I'm going to stick my butt out, come down, keep pressing the ankle into the thigh, rise up. So this is your standing figure four stretch. We did this last week. It's one of my favorites. And then switch sides. We are going to be doing a full hour today. Wow. Okay. And then right ankle crosses over left. I'm going to press my ankle into my thigh, stick my butt out, come down until I feel a stretch, and then use that right ankle to pull out of it. I am getting tired. And I'm feeling like I need to stretch my quads. So we're going to do that next. But first, we're going to do a little upper body stretch. And this is best done at a corner of a wall, but it still works if you don't have one. So I'm going to come right in between these paintings here, and I'm going to put my elbow at the wall, about shoulder height. And I'm going to kind of push my elbow forward, but into the wall. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to turn my body away from it. So I'm going to pull in toward the wall and then turn away from the wall. And I do this a few times. So I'm pulling into the wall, turning away from it. You could do a little swivel with your feet. And then I'm going to hold it here. I'm going to take my right foot forward, my left foot back, and I'm going to take this arm straight behind me, push into the wall, and then turn the upper body away. Should be a nice bicep stretch for you. Chest stretch a little bit. You could take your arm up here. I'm going to have to clean up my paintings if you wanted to. And if you want to get into, if you got tennis elbow, you're going to turn the hand upside down, push into the wall with that back of the hand, and try to rotate open. You can make a fist. Whew. And then the forward golfer's elbow, you're going to rotate the opposite direction. So palm, thumb up, press the pinky side of the hand, push, pull the fingertips back toward the forearm and rotate. Feel the difference? I hope. Yes. And then switch sides. So my arm is at the wall. I'm going to be trying to kind of pushing forward. And then I'm going to turn away. Again, this one's best done on the corner of a wall, kind of like the doorway stretch, but it's just different. I'm turning away from the wall and then using my arm to pull me back. And then I'm going to do the straight arm stretch. So the arm is going to go straight behind me. I'm stepping forward with my left foot, pushing into the wall with my hand, and then turning away. And that's about as far as I can go. So I'm turning toward the wall and then pulling away. I had to include some upper body because I said this was going to be upper body, lower body combo, but we're getting more into the lower body. And then if you want to go deeper, you're going to lift that arm up. Well, this is pec minor. So pec minor is the arm is up at a diagonal. I'm realizing you can't see where I put my arm. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull away. And then turn toward the wall. So we're moving in and out of this. Some of you might just want to hold it. That's fine too. But if you want to get deeper into that, into the forearm, I'm going to rotate the palm upside down. The back of the hand is pressing into the wall. I'm going to make a fist and pull that fist toward me. That is a super duper stretch for me. I haven't done this one for months. It's obvious because I'm super tight. And then to get into that golfer's elbow. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how tight I am here. I'm going to turn my hand the opposite direction. So pinky side of the hand is against the wall. I'm pushing. I'm going to pull my fingertips back toward my forearm and turn. Yikes. I'm tight everywhere. And then we're going to come down and do some quad. So for those of you who are not up to the quad at the wall stretch, I'm going to show you which one we're going to do. So if the stretch that I'm going to show you is too much, you're going to take your foot out to the side, 45-degree angle, at least a 90-degree bend in your knee, and then cross the other ankle over, push the knee into the ankle pushes into knee, rotate in and open. So that's your option in case the quad at the wall is too much. If you're doing quad at the wall, which we're going to do next, I'm going to take a blanket, pillow, put it about, I like to put my blanket a little bit farther away from the wall, but just keep in mind the closer it is to the wall, the deeper the stretch is going to be. So if you're not very flexible, take the blanket maybe 6 inches away from the wall or something like that. I'm going to come to my hands and knees. I'm going to back one leg up against the wall. So as you can see, my foot is against the wall. You can point your toe, you can tuck your toe, whichever you want. And then the other leg is going to come through and we're going to rise. So if this is too much for you, hurts your knee, whatever, then go back to the first one that I was mentioning, which is in the last video. It's the last live video, the one we started with kind of. So I'm going to add resistance and movement. I'm going to push my foot into the wall to come forward. Keep pushing my foot into the wall to back it up until you feel a stretch. Do the opposite of sticking your butt out, belly in. Some people just like to hold this stretch, and that's fine. For those of you who like this stretch and you're feeling it more as you come forward, well, come forward, take your hands down. Pull those hips away from that wall. It's a really nice passive stretch. So feel free to do that. You could even let the knee fall out to the side. You could actually take your left hand out to the left and push this right knee away. That might be a really super duper stretch for you. I encourage you to play around with them. And then we're going to switch legs. So now my right knee is up against or is on the blanket, foot is up the wall. You can point. I like to tuck the toes under um, because I feel like it gives me a better stretch, but it also keeps my husband happy because if I tuck my toe, then I end up getting toenail polish all over the walls, and that does not make my husband very happy. So I'm going to push the foot into the wall to shift forward, keep pushing into the wall to back it up. He's always inspecting the walls after I do these. Notice which side is tighter. For me, this side is way tighter than the other. I might want to give it more time. Remember to do the opposite of sticking your butt out, belly in. Because if you don't get this hip into extension, what is extension? Flexion, extension. There is a muscle, the rectus femoris, that you're never going to get into unless you have this hip, a straight line from your shoulder to your knee. It's because that muscle attaches to your iliac crest. So you're never going to fully get into that rectus femoris unless you're straight up and down. Well, as close to it as you can. If you're not able to straighten all the way, then you have a lot of work to do on that stretch. I am trying to include all of the lower body basic stretches in this video. So I think we've done pretty much all of them except the medial hamstring. And that's kind of the one that we started with on the first video, first live video. I'm making a mess everywhere. We're going to go through it again. Lying down. I'm going to take my left knee out to the side. I'm going to make an OK sign with my fingers, hook the heel, kick down toward the groin with my heel as my arm moves the opposite direction to slow the movement down. So we're working this inner hamstring right here. You could even put your hand on it if you want to feel it. See if you can feel it engage. So kick down and then open. You could do both legs at the same time on this one if you wanted to. It would be like a happy baby with movement. And I've gotten to 10. And I'm going to do 10 on the other side. So I'm going to make the OK sign with my hand, hook my heel, kick the heel down toward the groin. As you kick down, you're going to move the arm the opposite direction, let the arm win, and close. So I haven't gotten into a lot of upper body, but this stretch, I'm having trouble counting while I'm talking, also is getting your traps because every time you bring this heel down and your arm's moving the opposite direction, your rear delt and your traps are going to be getting a stretch. So I kind of feel like we have a stretch for the traps that's very similar. We're doing it seated and using the other arm as resistance, but this one, I feel like this one does the same thing. So in a way, we're using our legs to stretch our arms and using our arms to stretch the legs. And I have no idea what number I'm on right now. I'm just trying to move in and out of this. And today, I'm feeling super open here, which means I need to probably strengthen this muscle because I was feeling really tight in my quads and those balance each other. So I probably need to work on strengthening this muscle. A couple more stretches while we're here. I'm going to take my arms behind you. So sit up. We did this one last week too. It's one of my favorites. So puff the chest out, pull the shoulder blades together and down, lift the hips. So chest stretch, bicep stretch. You don't have to lift the hips at all. If this is as far as you can go, why then just do that. All right. We are about out of time. I'm going to close out with one more little stretch. This is for your neck. It's one of my favorites. So I'm going to take my left arm up and over. I kind of want to rotate this arm out so my palm's up, and then I'm going to take it behind my head. And then I'm going to take the other arm on my head. I'm going to tilt my head to the side and then round it forward. Levator scab. If you are flexible enough and you want to take your other arm behind and try to touch your fingers, hook your fingers, whatever, that also works. Head to the side and then round forward. But I feel like this just works. This works just as well. And then opposite arm behind the head. Take your left hand, tilt, and rotate forward. Just gentle pressure, kind of pulling the head. You can use this as a resistance stretch. I typically don't. I just usually just kind of let the head hang. And I think that's about it for today. Truly all over the place today. Please let me know if you have any requests for muscles that you have that are tight. I'd love to get your ideas and then make a video for you, because otherwise I just kind of tend to do things that I want to do. So please let me know. And as I said, next week I won't be able to do a live video, but I'm going to drop a couple of videos, part 1 and part 2 of dealing with IT band syndrome. And I'll try to get another video in there sometime this week. All right. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.